Okay, so yeah, basically this is about how to raise capital and how to survive. How to survive.
Shit with no money.
Yeah, make shit with no money.
How about that?
Even better. It wasn't listed in the
I should have called it that.
You should have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have. Was this your idea too?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. See, she's got ideas. That's the important thing. So my name is Denise, and I have had the Lesbian Lounge podcast since 2006. Still kind of going. I'm making far less recent content, but I've opened up the stream for podcasters that don't have the support, that are passionate about a topic, and they want to commit to a schedule and actually try their hand at podcasting. So it was the most important thing to me when we started, was to have somebody help, and that's what I decided to do with our stream now. Is just kind of open it up for people that want to give it a shot. So if you have a topic or you're interested, come see me after and we'll talk. Over here, introduce yourself.
Yep.
Well, wait, you swallow.
No,
Rochelle, you introduce yourself.
I'm in the middle of eating. I love you. Rochelle's a really fucking good friend of mine, so I can eat and be on a panel with her. It's okay.
So she thinks.
This is the last panel I'm ever doing with you.
It's fine. Hi, I'm Rochelle Dancel. I, 10 years ago, made a little show called BJ Fletcher Private Eye, which was on AfterEllen.com back in the day, and that went for 4 years. And that was my first huge kind of indie, and followed that up. I say followed that up. I've worked on a number of other kind of indie projects since. I worked on producing Juliet with Rachel Hip Flores and Tina Cecil Wood from Anyone But Me. And have managed to, although that was something that I did completely accidentally, because a friend of mine who made Fletcher called up and said, look, can you please come and help me with this? I've now that's now been the basis of this amazing career that I have now, where I get paid not only to consult on other people's shows, but to make the digital format or short form format or tester series for some fairly big networks. I've worked with like E4, BBC Three, and then also doing this kind of day-to-day with brands and how they use individual series or mini-series to grow the audiences around the products and services that they're looking to do. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. If you can start doing something completely by accident because you're having fun, and it's the thing that you do on the side, evenings and weekends, and then, at least in my case, a decade later, it allows you to have this kind of, phenomenal opportunity in order to actually get paid to do these things, to travel to these events and meet amazing people like yourselves. But yeah, we got that micro budget, in fact, no budget. And then we went into the minus for several years after that. But yeah, I mean, it's worth it. So I've made stuff and made it work at pretty much every conceivable price point, and when there was no price point. And it's ways and means.
Yeah. I'm Christin Baker. I'm the CEO and founder of TelloFilms.com. I produce and direct and have written stuff, although I'm not, writing is probably, it's the third, but I have written things and made things on a really low budget, especially by TV standards, but made it what I think is like high quality. So, and what I'm hoping is that you are all here because you also want to make content, except for her, she doesn't want to make content. Make content and you don't have an abundance of money, or you're not a trust fund kid. And so so I'm hoping that you are all here to learn that when you leave here, the thing you're going to do is you're going to go and make something. You're going to go and do something. You're going to help someone do something using the skills and talents and resources that you've learned either at this panel or at ClexaCon. And so that's the takeaway from this. And I think one of the things that I'm hoping Rochelle will touch on is actually, like, once you've made your stuff, how do you up-level and start approaching brands for integration? So there's kind of a two, although that's not the title of it, but since she's here and she knows how to do that stuff, she can help at least give guidance on what you should be thinking about as you start to make your cool stuff.
All right, let's talk a little bit now. There have been panels on pitching that have been quite interesting, and some of them were about pitching articles and some of them were about pitching projects. Do you guys get people just wander up to you pitching things? That's not really the way to go about it. It's just someone like coming in your face and spitting out an idea.
Rochelle has a very current story about that.
So it has just happened, but so we have this running joke. So I met Christin actually at a web festival in, I think it was in Toronto.
Yeah.
About 5 years ago, but at Rain Dance. So in London, there's the Rain Dance Web Fest that happens every year. So in 2013, in the first one, I came off a panel and I was talking to a creator, and she followed me into the bathroom. So I was just like, okay, I'm talking, and then I'm literally walking into the stall, and I closed the stall door, and you'd think that's when you just,
That's a cue.
But
You
she
stopped talking. Yeah, that's a cue.
Right,
No,
right.
it's a social cue.
She didn't. She continued, and she passed her business card under the door.
Oh.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. So that was this
What
running
not
joke
to
between
do.
the two of us. If ever I see Kristen going to the bathroom, I'll just stand there with my business card under the. So basically, don't do that.
It's not clever. It's not clever. That's what- yeah.
Like I know, like having and I'm constantly like in your position every day, basically. There's someone that you want to go and talk to about your project, and you want to pitch them, and I know that you're a bundle of nerves. You're like, I don't know how they're going to receive me or not, for example. I mean, I will say just do it, but literally just like get in, be really quick, be really respectful of their time. Like don't cling, especially if you see them like kind of running from
read the
one
person,
panel
right?
to the next
Read the
line.
room. Read the room. Yeah.
Because otherwise we'd be like, oh no, don't kind of like talk to me. What I will say is, I will get a lot of emails after having been here, and I accept that after every event. And they're amazing because I get to meet lots of amazing creators at different points. But I'm like, if you are going to email someone that you met at an event, specifically say, I met you at this event. And it's also helpful if you went, I met you at this event at the bar on this evening, or after this
I
panel.
handed you
whatever.
a card under the
Literally
stall in the ladies' room.
I was the woman that, exactly. I would say, because it's really difficult to kind of place, like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I got pitched this really cool thing, but I've forgotten what it is or who it was that did it. I will also say kind of like, in terms of your timing, like don't rush to basically include a massive pitch to someone like straight after this event. It'll take people time to get through all of the communications. We might be traveling, all of that kind of thing. So if straight after after this event, you want to email someone, you might send them, or you might even tweet them, because we have all of these comms channels available to us now. Right. You might tweet them and go, "I was really great, meeting you," or whatever. Briefly remind them if there's a link, if there's a Twitter or a link to the website or something, include that, and then you can follow up more formally on email, like, a week and a half or in a couple of weeks, and then that way we can give you the breathing space of considering your project, then having to go, I don't know what this is, I'll deal with this later, and then we'll completely forget about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that most people, they want a yes or a no right then and there?
Well, or it's a kind of, I was going to talk about this later, but there's all kind of like, they want like a coffee meeting or something, sort of straight away, and you're just like, oh, I can't remember who you are. Right. And it's not that I don't want to respond to absolutely everything. I just either don't have time, or it's not the thing that I'm prioritizing right then and there.
Right.
I've got other events I'm doing in a couple of weeks' time, things, and I have work.
Right.
as
right.
well.
On top of everything.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I would just say kind of like pick your timing, and actually it's not just because the person that you're wanting to get into contact with is kind of being precious. Like if you yourself want to give your project the best possible chance of getting the attention of this person, you want them to be in the best possible frame of mind in order to receive your project.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I will say someone did a really good job here at ClexaCon of grabbing me. So she tweeted me when she saw I was coming, and she said, I have a pitch I'd love to talk to you about. And we don't take unsolicited pitches. And that's something that we've just had to do because we were getting them too often, or someone was saying like, I have a great idea and like you should go make it, and it's like I have a lot of great ideas too. So, but we do want to continue to support queer female filmmakers. So but she did say, can I find you? And I never know what my schedule is at these events. And I also don't like to schedule something specific because I don't know I don't know what else I'm going to be asked to do. Like I had an emergency this morning, so I had to miss a coffee and, so I never know.
Yeah.
But she came to one of the panels. I said, find me after a panel. And she did. And I said, today I'm super slammed, but I'm going to be better tomorrow, and come find me. And she did again and had a written pitch with her. And she said, I would love feedback. And that's what she wanted. So she had a goal and something very clear that she wanted to ask me. So it wasn't like, let's go to coffee and talk about life and content and how you feel about digital blah, blah, blah. Like it was a very specific, I want feedback on this. Can you provide it for me? And like, that's very clear. Like, yes.
That's being prepared.
And she was prepared. Yeah. So I left the room that I was at, opened her pitch, said, here's something that you need. There's too many characters. Think about doing this. And then we kind of went back and forth on what she was really wanting to do, which is not make a web series, but make a TV series, which is very different. Oof. And so I talked about how to think about formatting that. And I think it was helpful. But she was persistent, but she wasn't rude. And when she got my time, she was very clear on what she wanted. So I would say if you're wanting to approach someone, or you're wanting to pitch someone, or you're wanting to talk to someone, be very clear about what it is you want out of that conversation. I know, and if you're in a social setting, that can also be a really awkward time to pitch someone.
Never do it at a funeral. Funeral, bathroom, not
off
good.
The table.
Right.
But if I'm sort of at a bar and I'm enjoying,
dinner,
take a social cue. So I know when I'm constantly trying to pitch as well. So when I'm doing that, I know that I will say later, can I send you an email? Here's my card, or do you have a card? How can I get in touch with you to schedule a meeting? And it's very clear to that person, I want a meeting, and I want it to be about this thing. I want to pitch you some IPs. When can we set up a time to do that?
Right.
So just know what you want to do.
Like if you're going to email someone to go, can we please meet up for coffee? And there's a million and one reasons why I don't do that anymore, unless it's something that's very, very specific. If you're just being sort of quite general about this, we can't gauge either, in the first instance, whether or not we can help you. So, for example, if you came to me to pitch a feature film, I would not be the person that you would want to talk to. So, I'd say do some kind of research on the person that you're approaching. If you literally just want to talk to them because you want their mentorship around something, or so for example, I work with a lot of people who will make films or TV shows, and they're already working with a production company, but they'll come and talk to me about audience development. So how are we building an audience around this? That's something that's very specific. And so the more specific you can be in the email, I'd love an hour, and don't lie, it's not going to be 5 minutes, because we know. We know it's not going to be 5. Please, can I get 5 minutes of your time for coffee? No, it's not ever going to be that.
Never.
So, please may I have an hour of your time. I'd love to talk to you about this, this, and this. Right. Or, and don't be sort of, I'd love to get your thoughts around branding and web series.
That's a big topic.
I can't do that in an hour. And if you wanted me to do that, you would have to pay me to do that, really. So the more specific that you can be, even if it's we've got, and you can, it's really succinct. This is what I'm working on. This is the problem I'm having, or this is what I'm working on. This is what I think. Can you point me in the right direction of something? Yeah. Is there and this is a good question, and I will always answer this question. Is there someone else I can talk to that may be better placed to help me? Right. And so then that's for me, when I've written that to people who've been kind of quite senior, because then they'll either forward the email and go, hi, you might be interested in this. That person has to respond to you because it's come from, a contact in their book. It's easier just to forward as opposed to email back and go, hi, yes, you can talk to this person. They work here. Here's their email address. Right. No one's got time for that. You just forward an email and go, hi, I'm looping in so-and-so. And then they have to, even if it's to say, I can't do this right now. But, that's a little trick.
Yeah, that's, I think being prepared, is it's just key to any kind of advice. When you're asking for advice, be prepared. And I just wonder, do you feel like there's an order to things? Like, Christin, I know I had approached you and said, I don't know how to write a script, but I have an idea. And you said, you got to learn how to write a script.
Yeah.
You have to. So there's definitely steps in place as opposed to just picking someone's brain. So the first step in coming in developing something is, obviously the idea, the presentation, whether it be a script, or your pitch, working on a pitch, because I know I have a cousin that's been out in LA for 35 years, and he told me that you got to talk like a car salesman because you get 3 minutes with someone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talk about scaling down your things to the finest point.
Yeah.
Like that's basically it. But so the first step, like how difficult is that, and putting that like in getting your ladder ready to walk up?
Yeah, here's the great thing is like events like this where you're finding like-minded people who want to make the same stuff as you is fantastic. So if and I'll use you as an example, Denise. And I said,
reminder, no money.
but
So that was, I was starting with just an idea.
Yeah,
Right.
and I said you're gonna have to figure out how to write a script. What I should have said was, or find someone
Right.
who can write as well. So if writing's not your jam, if you're like, this is not my favorite thing, there are so many people here, just this con or the one in Vegas, who are writers, and they just want to collaborate with you.
Right, yeah.
So I would say, get your idea down on paper, write something, even if just free form, and then figure out who might have that other idea or want to come in and collaborate with you. And then they can help you write. Like, writing collaboration is really the best. And then once you have a script, getting to that point is so much easier, because the next time you're at a networking event or ClexaCon or a meetup, you start to find
Get
and
your
meet
contact
online
information and
people who are DPs, people who are
DOPs, we say here.
I'm sorry, DOPs, cinematographers. You said cinematographer. Maybe DOP. So you can find other people to complement and who want to make stuff with you.
Right.
So I would say, like, you can find your tribe if it's not the thing, or if you want to direct and you find a person who can write. Well, now you have a writer-director, and now you have a script. Now it's time to start finding the other people who want to make this thing with you.
Okay, so we're getting up the ladder, right? So now, knowing that you have no budget,
Yeah. Yeah.
do you crowdsource, raise, fundraise,
Yeah.
take other people in? It's difficult to ask for money. Like,
Yeah.
everybody gets that. I said, like, I have had a podcast going for 12 years. I will sit here and tell you right now that we never made a dime, but we've, got to attend great gigs. We got hotel rooms, we got meals, it was the experience. I wasn't in it for the money, but some people are.
Yeah.
So, the
and you
next
do need
step-
money to
Yeah.
make stuff.
You kind of do need a little
it
food money,
because you
don't
need to
you?
pay people, or you need to, potentially rent equipment. Yeah. Has anyone here done crowdfunding? Raise your hand if you've ever done. Yay!
Okay.
Yeah, and there's okay.
Good.
Were
All
you
right.
successful? Did you hit your goal? Did you get what you needed?
No, it's actually still going out.
It's still going out. Oh my gosh! Who do we need to donate to?
Mm-hmm.
Plug it. What's your project?
It's called The Date. It's actually on the back of the card that's on the table right now.
Oh,
It's
oh,
called
There's some
it's
product
called The
placement.
Date, right here. And you can
Okay.
you're crowdfunding on Indiegogo if anyone wants to support. How do you identify? What content is it?
It's a lesbian short film.
Lesbian short film. If you'd like to support a lesbian short film, The Date on Indiegogo. Very good.
Do you find, let me ask you this, because I know that the first couple of years that we had a show going, we were small. We had like 30 downloads, then 100 downloads, then 300 downloads, then 1,000 downloads. And as we got more downloads and we got more popular, I found that more people came to me and said, can you talk about this? You're reaching more people. I think, Christin, that was how we met, wasn't it? Like, we found something.
I can't remember.
I think we found something on Tello, and Don and I couldn't wait to talk about it. We reached out to you to have you on the show. But after that, it became a kind of like a relationship thing where when you had a project, you would let me know so that we could put the word out. And I think it's really important, and that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the years, was that when every instinct in you is telling you to keep your mouth shut because you don't want to be a jerk and ask for money or talk about yourself or talk about something, go against it and talk about it and get the word out and get people interested.
I think I'd say the probably like one of the number one mistakes, one of the many number one mistakes that people make is they will make their thing and then they've given no thought as to how they're going to promote it, who the audience for this might be, who might be watching it and things like that. The minute that I have a project or something we're going to work on, we immediately start talking to people about it. And this is why, like, I was in the last session, the workshop that Dana just ran. And Dana has been a huge supporter of not only my work, but the work of my colleagues and everyone that's kind of come off of our shows. Yeah. So your network is not just going to include people who work in film, but also other bloggers, other writers, other, you know... Yeah,
the reviewers.
The reviewers, exactly. The people who are the community managers of the blogs who might frequent. So, you know, the first question... And here's the thing, like, I didn't find this out until after we had spent so much time, energy, and effort on making a first season, and we were then having to, like, backpedal to go, crap, how do we get people to watch this now? Mm-hmm. So the first question that I'd always ask is actually, who is the audience for this? That's the first question when someone pitches me a project and they go, well, it's about a girl who lives in... And I'm like, okay, who's the audience for this? Who's going to watch this? And it could be something as simple as... It's sort of Buffy mixed in with queer Sex in the City, but set in the country, you know, something like that. So it can be but I have to be able to place it in my head. And the thing is, the sooner it can constantly change, but the sooner you can get to a couple of sentences when someone goes, so what's this about? You're going to have to be doing it for a good couple of years. Yeah. You just get comfortable doing it. It's this with this with this. So, and it could be, we get a lot of, there's a difference between like a demographic of people, so people who are, which are usually, you know, an age, they're under 18 or they're over this. That's too general. So it's easier for you to target people. It's going to be easier for you to identify the blogs, the news outlets, and then therefore, you know, the brands that might be interested in your show. If you can go, okay, it's someone who works lots and lots during the week. They have very little time for themselves, but they play sports at the weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a very sort of specific person, and then you can start looking at actually who influences them, where do they hang out, those sorts of things. So your first question should be like, who is the audience for this? Then the next is, why are you making it? So if you're making your first project because you just want to, it's the first time you've gotten together with your friends and you want to find a way of working, that's going to be really cheap. Like, you know, what is the shorthand? You might make something that's like a minute long, and you just want to figure out how you're going to do it. You know, you want to iron out the kinks in your working process. That's one thing. If like Lisa Gifford, who went to the Badass Women, in industry panel yesterday, So Lisa is one of my very good friends. They made their web series because she specifically wanted to work on EastEnders. And so it became what we call the calling card show. The format of that, it always ends on a cliffhanger. It always has got this kind of high drama cliffhanger. So she literally watched EastEnders and went, okay, that's the pattern of my show, and wrote it that way. It also meant that all of the promotion that they did for that, all of the festivals they did, the PR route, everything was geared towards putting her in that position. So again, like, if it's just a passion project that you're working on with your friends, you know, your stakes might not be as high, for example, if you're doing it as a reel because you, like me, wanted at the time to work for an advertising agency. So, you know, if you have some kind of idea as to why you want to do something, that will then affect, you know, am I going down the crowdfunding route? Am I cashing in my bar mitzvah bonds? Am I making this on my iPhone versus do I have to raise money to get a proper crew in? Do you know what I mean? Like, so...
all of those are options, by the way. Yeah. Like, making something on your iPhone is 100% an option. Yeah. Renting a really fancy camera and getting a DOP is absolutely an option. It just... you know, depends on where you are in your creative process.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because there are so many options now, whereas you know, a while ago it was literally web series and that was it. You know, like and that was great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but do you feel like most people, the ultimate goal is to get picked up by something huge? get picked up by a network, get picked up by a production
I
company.
think back in the day, at least when I started,
Yeah.
because we didn't have Netflix
Yeah,
and things like that.
right.
We not only didn't have Netflix, we didn't have,
A place for it?
or even sites like, for example, Vice.com, where you go and watch videos, or where you have news outlets that are commissioning entertainment, like
Yeah.
Lad Bible and things like that. We didn't have those outlets, and so the only place you could go at the time, unless you wanted to go down the classic film route, was to get, I don't know, go work for the BBC or Channel 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Now there are
agree.
so many more options where you've got a web series. It's not this kind of like poor cousin
Yeah.
to anything. It is
No.
actually,
Stand alone. Stands up. It stands up.
yeah. I mean, my show has had, when we stopped counting in 2012, we'd hit 12.5 million views. That's more people have
Yeah.
watched my show than have watched certain Channel 4 episodes, for example. It's
Right.
very, very comparable.
Right.
But then again, it kind of depends on how you focus that. If I went to a potential employer and went, I've got this little web series, some of my friends have watched it, I'd have never gotten a role. I went, okay, I have this show, it's completely independent, we're at 12.5 million views. To give you a point of comparison, this other show on Channel 4 did 150,000 views. And so they're just like, oh, okay, that suddenly put it into perspective. So you have to, I think now there are so many more options in terms of where your work can go, what format it can live in, where you're not being apologetic. Like, I'm from London, and it's a very British thing to go, I'm really sorry, but would you mind just looking
Yeah.
at this little thing?
Everything
I'm
starts
really
with
sorry to
sorry.
take up your time. I'm just, watch this little thing that I've made.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think if you do want to, if that's your end game, you need to start looking at your projects, how you're making your projects and how you're positioning them in order for them to kind of go forward.
Did you, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there are people that are making like tiny little Instagram movies,
Yep.
like episode after episode after episode.
There was that one big one that came out that was like the first something on Instagram, but it was when it was 15 seconds. You guys remember that? Was it it was a lesbian project, wasn't it?
Well, there was also a cop show that won at Raindance 2 years ago, and that was before, it was 2 or 3 years ago before Instagram changed the video limit from 15 seconds to a minute.
A
So
minute.
each episode is 15 seconds long.
Yeah, I mean, like that just goes to show you that there's so many different ways to
Yeah.
get your things out there. So a lot of it does
Yeah.
depend. Like and
Facebook has original content now. I mean,
Yes,
it's
yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
yeah.
But one of the things that always got me is I was really particular about what we promoted, and I would never badmouth anything if somebody came to me with a project that, I just didn't promote it. I just wouldn't say, so I didn't say anything good, but I didn't say anything bad either. I just kind of let it go by the wayside. But one of the things that always struck me about the stuff that I would watch on Tello, which for the longest time was the only stuff that I would watch,
Aw, thanks,
yeah.
Denise.
No, really, like it was the quality of what I was seeing was so important. I felt like I was watching an episode that of something that I would see on television.
Yeah.
And I think, that's a testament to the directors that you get, whether it was yourself or anybody else, and,
Yeah.
and the support, the people that you had, Bridget and,
Yeah, yeah.
Julie, and you always have like such good people put, in your work.
Yeah.
And so when you're making a project, to have that level of quality, that you need a little bit of money. So,
Yeah.
You guys full on, it's like actually shooting a movie, a TV show. I mean,
A little
you've
bit,
got-
yeah. We shoot it out of, so if we have 5 episodes, we shoot it sort of what's called movie style. So a lot of television shows will shoot episodic. So they'll shoot episode 1, then they'll shoot episode 2, then they'll shoot episode 3, and that's more expensive. So if you have a project that is 45, 50 pages, and it's 5 episodes, right, 10 pages each, instead of shooting it, I'm going to shoot episode 1, you shoot the whole thing. You shoot the entire project as though it was a movie, and it saves you money and causes you to have less days. Because what causes your budget to go up is the more people you have and the more locations you have. That
Right.
has a big impact on your budget. So if you have 4 locations, you shoot 1 location one day, maybe 2 if they're near each other.
Yeah.
But you shoot it by location because that's what's going to save you the most money and get it done. So, and the other thing is like, the more days you have, right? So if you're paying people or you're renting equipment or you're buying food for people, which is a lot of times the only thing that you're paying money for, is
what you're paying them with.
So if you have like 3 days you have to buy food as opposed to 5 days you have to buy food, right? You're going to save money. And so the shorter you can do it, the more pages you can get in a day, the more you're going to save money. So that would be something to really think about when you shoot it. How many locations do I have? How many characters do I have?
Right.
And how involved is this going to be? Do I have a car chase? Do I have an underwater scene? Like, those are things probably not to do when you're first starting out.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, though. Like, how did you make the money to make the kind of quality stuff that how did you gather your budget for these things?
I hate, well, I put some stuff on credit cards. I saved money, and so our first budgets were like $1,000, and I was working full time, so I saved money, and I always tried to want to pay people because I just thought, and so it wasn't a lot though. You know what I mean? It was like $50.
But yeah, I think
thank you for your time. So it wasn't a whole bunch.
The rule, I don't know. I mean, the rule on my sets, especially if they're like completely indie, is that everyone gets paid something or no one gets paid anything. And so if there's a situation where some people get this is the one of the causes of a lot of toxicity on sets is when someone who's not getting paid anything hears about someone who's getting paid something. Then it just gets really kind of like toxic, and you're also saying, I privilege this person's work more than this other person.
Yeah. Right.
So at least on any of the kind of like little indie things that I'm doing, like everyone gets paid or no one gets paid, and it's not to say that people get paid tons. Right. But I'm really clear about actually what the budget is, and I don't lie. So don't ever go, oh, we can't pay anyone anything right now, but we're pitching it to this, and if we get this, then we're going to back pay everyone. No, it's just straight down the line.
Yeah,
this is basically what's going to happen. This is the situation that I'm in right now, and just be sort of super transparent about that. Which again, as Brits, like money's quite a taboo subject for us still. So just confront it head on. Be very matter-of-factly about it, and don't apologize for it because you're only doing what you can do.
Yeah. Consider the fact that they're there because they're passionate about their craft.
Yeah.
Like if it's an actor, they're probably passionate about their craft. If it's anybody that's donating their time.
And I kept a full-time job. I didn't leave and suddenly decide I want to make movies with no budget. That's how I was able to pay. Is I had
you got to have a safety
an
net.
income coming in, and so I would put a little money aside and save up until I had a little bit that I could then go. And again, get actors to be in it. This was at the beginning, I was in Chicago. I shoot in Los Angeles now, but this was in Chicago.
Let's talk about investors. I
don't know anything about it.
I know.
I think
have you ever, because I don't want to call my support system investors. They were donors.
Crowdfunding is kind of like investing. That's the closest that I've ever really gotten is asking someone via Twitter, via Instagram, via whatever to support a project. And I will say, if you, and you might be feeling this, and I know Avocado Toast, you guys crowdfunded, if you will be, if you decide to go a crowdfunding route, which you absolutely can do, you will be unbelievably moved by the people who found you through this really bizarre route and who's decided to give you $10, $25, and you will also be very disappointed around people who you thought would give you money, right? You guys are shaking your head, you're shaking your head, who didn't give you money. Yeah. And I think you have to go into crowdfunding with no expectations. Have the expectation that, and one of the reasons that I do crowdfunding sometimes is to actually get an audience. Because it's a great way to promote, and if you tweet at people, I think one of the other hard things to do is even to get someone to tweet about your series.
Yes. Yeah.
You're going, hey, I have this thing, you should see it, check this out.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be a really hard thing to do, but you have to do it. You have to just it's almost like people want to help. They just don't know they want to help you, and you're letting them know,
here's a way
you can help me, or here's where you can see really cool content.
Yeah, because they're not buying tickets to go to a theater. It's a different way of helping.
Yeah, I think if you are going to do a crowdfunding campaign, you should not underestimate the amount of work that is involved in it. And I would say that you need to have, people are just like, what's a crowdfunding strategy? You have to have a strategy. you really do have to have a strategy around it. And there are loads of videos. The really cool thing now is there are loads of videos on YouTube from other creators who've run very successful crowdfunding campaigns, who will, kind of give you a lot of tips. But this is basically why, at the beginning when I said, when you have your idea, start talking to people about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you cannot launch, if you launch a crowdfunding campaign and no one follows you, it's like, is it even a thing? Like,
yeah,
is it
really
even a
happen?
thing? Like, you
a
have
tree
to
fell in
have
a forest.
Yeah, I was
Exactly.
gonna say, did it really
so
happen?
you have to. So the more people that you have that are ready to kind of start shouting about your crowdfunding campaign when it drops, it's a lot less work that you have to do. And they'll kind of come along on the ride for you. I mean, there are some like really kind of like basic things, like don't start a crowdfunding campaign in December or January when people are broke and when they've got Christmas to pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good day to start a crowdfunding campaign, at least in the UK, is the third Thursday of every month when people get paid. So they don't
When we
feel
get our
bad.
tax checks
Yeah,
back.
so people don't feel bad kind of about giving money. Like, you are like really kind of basic things. If people tweet that they've given, like, say thank you on Twitter, really in a very timely way.
Yeah.
And I would also, like, we crowdfunded for the third season of Fletcher, not just because we didn't need the money, but as Christin said, we needed a way to kind of get people together. If, say, for example, it's going to cost you, I don't know, like 10K or whatever to make your show, don't shoot for that all in one go. So I'd set the bar kind of quite low, and then at least you'll hit it, and then you'll do effectively a stretch goal. And it's always, people always feel much better about backing a winner. Mm-hmm. So if they can go, you know what, this campaign went out, they made £1,000, and their stretch goal is now £2,000. Yeah, I'm going to get in on that, because they're actually going to get the money. Like, they're going to get the money from kids. They're going to make it anyway. They're kind of onto a winner. So I would be, when we run campaigns out that have taken 30, like a month, like every day, bearing in mind that our fans are like in North America as well. So we have to be, I wouldn't say awake when they are, but it just means that it's not just.
Yeah, you got to be conscious
Yeah,
of time
exactly,
zones.
to the time zones for UK time. So, they're all of those things, and we've mad hustled to make those sorts of kind of campaigns work for us.
How important are perks?
I'd say, so here's the thing. Everyone I know who's given away T-shirts and things like that, don't do it.
T-shirts are the worst.
Physical products are the worst, because you've got to get the person's size. It might get lost in
the mail,
in the post.
Yeah.
You've
Then
got
there's
to
women's cut, men's cut, unisex, V-neck. Like, don't do
so
T-shirts.
it's quite, any kind of like physical merchandise is difficult. What I will say, and someone made a really, someone made a really good point. It was on a Rain Dance panel a couple of years ago. If one of your perks is you get a something to do with one of the characters in the show, you have to kind of bear in mind that unless your audience is already in love with that character or that actor or that person, they're not going to care, basically, about those sorts of perks. So what I would say is, like, be very kind of,
Thank you.
yeah, be very sort of kind of diligent in terms of how these things are going to be sent out to people, about the timeliness of them. And then about perks that you can draw. You also don't have to release all of your perks in one go at the beginning.
No, I don't.
So you can hold them back. You can do a kind of like, if it's like Mother's Day or Father's Day or Easter or something coming up, you can go, okay, for these 3 days only, this perk's going to be available. And then you've got stuff to kind of push out at that point in time.
How about credits?
Yeah,
Do people want to see their name on the credits
I've
anymore?
only had one person. I mean, I have people they give for that, but they get the other things. I've only had one person like really be like, Where is my name?
Oh, no, I mean as a perk.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. Oh,
I've only
okay.
had one, like, they'll give, but they're
Okay.
not super, like, I've had someone give and they're like, I don't care. Like, I'm like, how do you want me to spell your name? And they're
Yeah.
like, that doesn't really matter. You don't have to give me that.
I think-
Because they wanted to support it, but other people will write back and go, yeah, here's how to
Yeah.
spell it.
And here's my
what
middle
I
name,
want,
right,
or-
and here's
yeah,
my
like
second
that kind.
name,
So
the
you're
third,
just like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on the audience. So we ran a crowdfunder campaign that was targeting film students, and all of them want to build their IMDb credit bases up. So that's one of the things we specifically did for a particular university in the area in which we were filming.
That's cool.
So it depends. So again, you can be quite kind of targeted about these things.
Denise, I do want to make sure we get some audience questions.
Yes.
If there's any.
Okay. What do we have? About 8 minutes left?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do
But I
that.
didn't know if you had something burning that you wanted to get to.
I don't.
or
No,
you
no,
wanted to
no,
do
no.
audience.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. let's get a show of hands. Anybody have questions? Okay, come on up and you gotta.
Oh, you don't actually, yeah, just yell it from
Yell
there.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Heidi. I'm from Toronto. I just moved to the UK. I'm curious about how unions work in the States and in the UK. We're filmmakers from Toronto and we're both actors and we're members of ACTRA. And because of that, our set has to be union and has to be ACTRA.
Yep.
So we have to pay everyone all the money. And I want to do something where we pay the crew and the actors and everyone gets the same fee.
So we don't have the same. So my first show was made in Toronto when a bunch of our cast used completely different names because we, at the time, didn't want the union to come from. This is also why we have we didn't purposefully go for any awards because we didn't want to draw any attention to ourselves, which is counterintuitive. But, you know, it's either that or sue me for my house. Basically, in the UK, you don't have the same issues because we're very liberal. We just we want people to kind of like get stuff.
You think that's what a union would do for people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you asking about SAG as well in the States? So if you're also the producer on it, you don't have to be, and you're in it, you don't have to be SAG. If you hire someone who's not a producer, who's an actor, who is SAG, you then have to be SAG. But if you two are in the union and you are writing, producing, and directing it, the union actually sort of gives you a buy on having to do all of those things.
That's how it happened in Canada.
Yeah, so I know that's how it is in LA. But I can't speak to Great Britain.
So in the UK, it depends. If, for example, your show is intended for digital, or if it's intended because so many digital shows actually fall under advertising, in which case it's a completely different category. It also renders it ineligible for any kind of like awards at BAFTA or anything like that going forward. So it depends on the kind of category of your show. If you're just literally, it's the first thing that you're making with your friends or whatever, even if you make it to a point that it's going to get picked up with something, no one has to be union. But what you have to do is, if you are hiring crew especially, you will sometimes get a lot of crew who are just trying to fill up like their credits, or they want to try some new things as their off time while they're shooting. And they are a member of a union. You need to make it very clear that your set is not union. And then it's up to them whether or not they take it. So at least here, a lot of the responsibility is pushed onto the individual, because we even have actors here who are not equity, for example, necessarily. And so where it's then going to matter is they're much more kind of like formalized award shows, for example, at BAFTA, like different awards programs. But even then, you know, when you get to that point, you should hopefully have some kind of legal representation. But if you're still, you know, kind of making stuff and just growing your audience around that, then it's not anything you need to be concerned about. You just have to tell everyone that that's what's going to happen in case they are members of unions in other countries, or things like that, that may affect them.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Who else? Come on. There we go. Go ahead.
Hi. I have a question about getting brands into your films. So
Product placement, like?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, because for example, in the film that I'm doing now, it's based on a dating app, and so I've been in talks with like her and things like that, and they've agreed to, like, they're fine with us using their name and stuff. But if I wanted to reach out to other people, like, I'm not very good at
The legalities?
talking, and being like, please, you know, like, how would you feel about, like, how?
Are you wanting them to pay you, or are you just wanting them to use the app? So you want legit product placement. Yeah, that's for sure.
And you again.
So it's going to depend on a number of factors. I mean, if this is your first ever show, you don't have any cast that have any kind of profile in it, then no one is going to pay you to put their product in their show. Now, you can do what we did on one of the tester shows that we did, where we basically got a venue that we wanted to shoot in. We basically said, look, we will film a bunch of online, effectively would have been online advertising for them as part of this show. So they were effectively paying us for services, which is how we framed it. So every marketing director or head of content or something is going to have a budget. And one of the things that I had to learn very quickly was how to speak their language. So what is important to them and what's going to be important to them is effectively what we call eyeballs. So the audience that you're bringing with the show. And if the audience is there's two different things. It's either got to be significant or it's got to be sizable. So it's either got to be, if you can say, I've got every student in the UK who's a member of the NUS is going to be watching this because they have to. That's a very significant audience. It's also sizable, it's significant. It's either that or I've got 2 million people, whatever, you know, kind of signed up to this. So what I would say when you're looking at brands just generally is everyone always shoots for like Coca-Cola or Nike or whatever. And it's very difficult to actually get to the actual people who are going to be making that decision, let alone getting them to give you kind of any money. So actually, you need to start thinking, if you start thinking of brands on a much, much smaller scale, you can probably get through to, you know, so like one of my favorite things is I always dress characters from brands that I find on Indiegogo or Kickstarter that are doing really well. Because they'll come, this is a tip you can take for free, have this one for free. Because they'll have audiences, they'll have people that have put in like, you might get 2,000 people. You can see the number of people who've donated to a campaign. You might get like 2,000 people who've all paid $20 each or something for that particular product. So you can go to the person whose product that is, go, look, I don't want any money from you. Just please give us the t-shirts that you're trying to sell or the sneakers that you're trying to sell or whatever. They'd be really cool for this character. Please just, can you tell everyone, can you commit to telling everyone about this? So, you know, if I have like 5 independent brands that have sponsored stuff and I've immediately got 150,000 people collectively across these things, that's a massive size audience. And it's also a ready audience for my show when it drops. So, you know, really kind of basic things would be if you're looking...
It's like a barter system, huh?
Yeah. No, it's exactly what it is, but it has mad hustle. If you've got no money, the only thing you can do is ask, right? Right. So just ask. The worst they can do is say no or just not respond to you. So just ask. So you know, if you're looking, but if you are looking for people to, from a kind of bigger brand perspective, go onto LinkedIn. You will identify the head of marketing. Make sure it's the one for the UK or Europe or the territory in which you're based. And be kind of really clear about what you want, whether it's product. Product is very easy to get. And so if someone says to you, and there was this one show that did, I've forgotten, it's that one show that was based in New York. It was like Sex and the City for gay men, Quincy show. So what they did was they went to Michael Kors and said, look, we don't want any money from you. We just want product. Can we dress this character? They went, fine, we'll give you 100 pairs of shoes. He took those shoes and he put them on Indiegogo as a perk for his campaign. So this is why I'm saying mad hustle. Like you literally have to, so that's the thing. Like don't always, if you don't go, oh, I can't go to this brand because they're not going to give me any money. Just don't. Like it'll be down to, at your level, it'll be an assistant who'll go, you know what, we've got 100 pairs of shoes kicking about in the back that's discontinued. Yeah. Or we've got, like we once filmed in a hotel and I said, look, please, can you give me Thursday nights, give me 4 Thursday night stays, and then I auctioned that off as like an Indiegogo thing. So everything you can possibly do, you can trade, you know, filming ads, you're going to be on set anyway in their venue, just say, look, we'll give you 3 20-second ad spots at the end of this. Let us film in your venue. Like, I'd look at brand like that versus I'm trying to get like Tinder to come in. Yeah, exactly. Right. Because those negotiations, they take a really long time as well. And often they'll depend on, you know, they might not come to you in the first season, but if you're big enough in your second season, if you do a second season, you know, that's when you can come back to them again. So just don't look at brand in such a linear way, like look at it in a much more kind of holistic way and see how that would work in other areas of what you're making. Excellent, excellent. Anybody else? Don't be shy. No?
Spend your money on sound.
Oh, what? What was that?
If you're going to spend money, spend your money on sound. People will forgive you a shaky camera. They will not forgive you crap sound. Just period. They will forgive many things.
That's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, but sound is one of the things that you will. There's nothing that makes you look more low budget and indie than bad sound. Exactly. So if you're going to spend any money, spend it on food, feed your people, and spend it on sound.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, gang, on to the next one.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your expertise. Fantastic.